Liberation greetings to all and sundry, my dear people of Amazonia, fellow brave warriors of the Southern Cameroon's liberation movement. Accept liberation greetings from me, Comrade John Akura. Today is Monday, Country Sunday, and today is November 20, 2023. And if you're following me from ground zero, I know the time now should be exactly 9 p.m. Amber time, 3 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. And so, folks, if you are just joining, make sure you try to share the link of this communication because today we are going to be examining some very crucial issues. I mean, crucial regarding the system we are up against, and especially trying to let all of us together see why it is imperative for us to take this liberation movement all the way to the end, for us to understand that failure is not an option. So I want to extend hearty salutes to all and sundry, both from ground zero in the United States of America, in Canada, in Western Europe, in ground one, ground two, wherever you are. Accept liberation greetings from me, and I want to, express regards to all our people who are observing our natural country Sunday today, and to let you know that, as I promised, I generally keep to my words on country Sunday. I make sure I make my contribution to www.oneportrelief.org to make sure that I'm staying in tune, to make sure that I'm making sacrifice not the same. It can never be the same level like you are doing when you shut down on ground zero, but at least a symbolic representation of the fact that in spirit with all of us on ground zero. Again, my name is John Akuro, and like I said, I made sure this morning I made my contribution here, www.oneportrelief.org, because I said always this is the time for action, and so therefore we must continue to build the action. Folks, in our communication today, we are going to be examining one fundamental pillar of the disgust that we have lived for over 65 years with La République du Cameroon. You know, some time ago, speaking to French journalists at his presidential palace at Etoudi in Yaoundé, Paul Biya said, "Ne dure pas au pouvoir qui veut, mais dure qui peut." That statement was very pregnant, remains so pregnant until this day. And a lot of us, perhaps at the time, took the statement for granted, took it for anger, for some angry man retorting to some nosy European journalist trying to disturb him about his longevity in power. But over time, I'd like us to, note that a lot of mature thinking has brought out the real connotation of that statement. And you can leave it. You can leave it. And that is why, my people of Amazonia, I want to assure you we are on the right track, fighting to get ourselves, to extricate ourselves from an evil system is the most noble thing that we could do at this time. And especially because we do not want to, like the people of La République du Cameroon, pass on to the next generation an occultic system that will only breed on our people, that will only breed on the poverty, the misery, and the dehumanization of our people. That is why it is important for us to take note of some of these statements and to substantiate them, to break them down, that everyone should see exactly what it means and what it really entails on us as a people, and what damage it has done to us over time and will continue to do unto our people over the years to come if we don't stem it right now, if we don't cut the evil at this point in time. So therefore, if you are just joining this broadcast, and even if it is your first time ever coming here, make sure to share this link. Share the link of this broadcast today onto your finger begins to pain, because it is important for each and every one of us to gain this knowledge. Trust me, we all need it. And so I'm going to delve straight into the beef of our discussion today without taking a lot of our time. Let's begin with this thought. You don't need to move to a new place to begin again. A new mindset is all you need to start all over. My people of Amazonia, you will definitely be asking yourself, but what do I mean by this thought? How does it apply to us? How is it related? Look at it. In our midst, a lot of our people have moved from one movement, group, or organization, this liberation movement, to the other. Each time you start thinking that, your thoughts are not in tune, or that your approach is not in tune with the people where you are. I want to say this and say it clearly. What we need today more than ever before is not group affiliation, moving from one group to the other, or trying to create one form of grouping or the other. What we need most today is a change of mindset. The change of mindset to recognize that as a people, we are all going to crash collectively if we decide not to stand together. Listen, folks, I repeat it. As a people, we are going to crash collectively if we decide not to stand together, not to work together, not to make sure we pull our resources together and to eject La République du Cameroon from our land. Look at this, folks. In this picture, you are seeing Paul Biya and Augustin Koncho-Kouameni. You want to find out when this picture was taken? It's in the 60s. And the guys were seated somewhere in Anguissa having fun in the 60s when they were friends. Right up to this moment that I'm talking to you, from the 60s, they are in power. They have hemmed over 30 million people, put them under their feet. They have hemmed the future of millions of people, put them under their feet. That's not all. This is another pair. This is Laurent Esso and that is Jacques Famendongo. The same era when these pictures were taken. To show you how connected they were, that what is happening in La République du Cameroon is that there's a mafia gang that have taken the country hostage and have built their children and positioned them in various places, ready to perpetuate the very system that you have on the ground in La République du Cameroon. And if care is not taken for the next 100 years and counting, it will be the same system that will continue to replicate itself. Because they have been in place too long. Too long. So much so that they have affected the very fabrics. Right down to the roots of the various communities to have everything under their footstool. This is the kind of system we're up against. And make no mistake, some people from the southern Cameroons are part of this mafia gang. And that's why they are determined that until death takes them, they will never ever stand by and watch us regain our freedom. This is why, at every standpoint, I remind us that we are on our own. It's been occultism from day one. It is occultism today. It's still going to be occultism tomorrow. Because sometimes you sit and you ask yourself questions. Things are happening all around Cameroon, around the citizens of La République du Cameroon. They are easy to shout it and celebrate it elsewhere. Why have they never taken the initiative to seek even just that change in their own turf? No. It is because the level of esotericism is such that everybody is cowed. It is because of the grace of God. Not just our difference in culture with the citizens of La République du Cameroon, but because perhaps we're even more prayerful And sometimes we have remained so entrenched and so attached to our ancestral roots. That is definitely what has made us different from the citizens of La République du Cameroon. To the point all those occultic charms have not succeeded in cowing us down. Those among us who have submitted to La République du Cameroon have found themselves overwhelmed. Some of the videos, some of the illustrations I'm going to be using here, you have seen them. But I want us now to wear a completely different lens and look through this. This communication today is likely to be slightly over an hour. And so I'm saying this early enough just so that you get ready, settle down, and let's do this journey together. It's very important to understand this because when you do, you will know exactly why we need to continue to empower our people as we are doing. Take note that the people of the Southern Cameroons, if we have survived all that level of dehumanization that you see in La République du Cameroon, to the point where we still stand and think straight, it is because we are self-reliant, first of all, in our approach to things. It is because we first of all begin by asking ourselves what we can do to help ourselves before asking what the society, what the wider community, what the system can do for us. And so therefore, this video I'm playing here is just to remind us and then take us to the root of exactly where we are today. Watch.
Pour notre leader, le charismatique Olivier Emmanuel Frank Biya, que nous souhaitons qu'il arrive à la magistrature suprême. Et de deux, nous prions aussi pour notre très chère maman, Madame Blas, la coordonnatrice nationale du mouvement, que le Tout-Puissant lui donne la force, la puissance d'arriver, de parachever cette mission, car tout le peuple camerounais, la jeunesse tout entière, satisfait, content du mouvement, prie le Dieu Tout-Puissant d'accepter à ce que notre leader en 2025 devienne le tout premier président de la jeunesse, le tout premier président jeune du Cameroun. Nous avons cette conviction parce que à Fouman, pour notre leader, le charismatique Olivier Emmanuel Frank Biya, que nous souhaitons qu'il arrive à la magistrature suprême. Et de deux, nous prions aussi pour notre très chère maman, Madame Blas, la coordonnatrice nationale du mouvement.
Yes, so, you know, I don't care what they are saying inside there. The decor tells everything. You see, Frank Emmanuel Biya, the son of Mr. Paul Biya, who is aspiring, although I understand he's already feeling so disillusioned at this moment because he's realizing that unless his father dies, he will not be able to take over. So 2025 for him may only be as a result of his father passing on. But if he doesn't, then he may keep his hopes until 2032. So what I'm saying here is, Paul Biya, for all the time that has been in power, we've heard about occultism. We've heard about killings. We've heard about blood sacrifices. We've heard about the disappearance of organs, organs of either young people, either albinos, either people, people disappearing, they cut their organs and take them. We've heard of horrible kinds of motor accidents that occur each time there's a major event in that country. You've heard about the killings of reverend fathers, reverend sisters, bishops, all kinds of prelates under Mr. Paul Biya. Now, why am I saying this? I'm taking time to get into this so that we should understand the dimension, the mystical undertones involved in this fight against La République du Cameroun. If you ever thought that is only physical, then you need to get a rethink. Because I will draw our attention and take us back. For those who are just about my age, 49, or a bit older than me, or even older than me, but who lived in the 90s, in those hot political years of the return of multi-party politics, there was a young man. His name was Ebale Angunu. The name was Ebale Angunu. He was known as Mr. Paul Biya's young friend. When Ebale Angunu fell out with Mr. Paul Biya, he said horrible things in the pages of newspapers, especially Le Messager at the time. I recall vividly a title, Ebale Angunu Debal, or Ebale Angunu Debal. Just the poetry in it. Ebale Angunu narrated scenes where they found themselves, even including the head of state, Mr. Paul Biya, at funny kind of places, including cemeteries, sacrificing blood, drinking blood, sacrificing blood on the people, casting spell on the people of Cameroon to take them, their minds, their everything in control. So nobody will ever reason straight. So that anything Biya does, no matter what Biya does, the people will never rise. The people will continue to hail him. Ebale Angunu was saying this in the pages of newspapers way back in the 90s, not even the late 90s, the early 90s. Because after the 1992 presidential election, where Paul Biya realized that he actually got beaten, it was never ever going to be the same thing. So when you heard him about L'Homme Lion and all of those things, it's not just a kind of talk. They had moved into the esoteric spheres to try and see how to trap the people completely, put them under eternal control, and manipulate them as much as they can, and do anything they want publicly, openly, with no worries about any kind of public accountability, because they were certain nobody would do anything. Anytime people try to rise, they will go back to those altars, said Ebale Angunu, and after him, quite others. We heard Charles Ateba Eyene rant about it until they finally took him out. And so therefore, the cardinal principle or the center of focus of this occultic movement is to control the people by implementing poverty as a public policy. Because when the people are completely poor and subdued in such a way that nothing they ever do can enable them to cross a certain limit, they will be under total control. Total and absolute control. That's what is happening. Let's go a bit. Because you see, sometimes people have been mistaken to say, okay, this thing is that, we are just the ones tortured. And so, no, we are just unfortunate to be unevenly yoked with people where a system, where a satanic system has been put in place to manipulate and subdue the people. Look at, I'm going to take you a bit on a journey through parts of the south and central regions of La République du Cameroon. Look at this road. This is a road just a few minutes drive, about 5 or so minutes drive from Saint-Melima in the south. Saint-Melima is the headquarters of the Ja and Lobo division of the south region. Mr. Paul Biya hails from the Ja and Lobo division. I mean the Ja and Lobo, because his own subdivision is Meyomesala, where Vomeka is. And so therefore, this is in Mr. Paul Biya's own division. This is a road there. I'm pushing through. Look at. You can see people with big axes on the road. I mean, it's just about 5 to 7 minutes drive from Saint-Melima in the south region, in Mr. Paul Biya's division of origin. This is the same area. It gets towards Vangan. Once you leave Saint-Melima, like I said, just about 5 minutes drive, you're already onto this. You can't proceed. You go to Vangan, towards the gorilla sanctuary Mengeme, and all of those. These roads that you see. And this is just an example, because several roads in the south. The other day in my last broadcast, I was showing to you the road linking Akomdo, a boulevard Akomdo, to Kribi, a major hub. The Akomdo road, that they have sung about the tiring of that road over and over and over. This is it. This is another road lab. And you see, these people who are struggling on this road end up distances where they could do for 30 minutes, 40 minutes. They end up doing it for days. At the end of the day, because of the nature of these roads, the vehicles conveying food crop from the farms to take them to the metropolis in Saint-Melima to sell can no longer get to their destinations. And so too often, this is how the food crop that they are carrying to go and sell ends. This is how it ends. I like us to see deliberate impoverishment for a specific reason. I've talked about roads over and over, but I'm going to indicate here today exactly why I keep talking about roads. Because even in their own reporting, they will let you understand why it is so important for Mr. Paul Biya's regime to make sure the road network is the poorest you can see anywhere in the world. That's foodstuff that was being conveyed to the metropolis, to the markets, destroyed. This is just one example. That happens everywhere in La République du Cameroon, just as it happens in Amazonia. Because like I said, unfortunately, we found ourselves unevenly yoked with these people. So while they do that in the hinterland to make sure that these crops don't get to the cities on time, so that the people who cultivate their farms can make a lot of money, get rich, be able to send their children to good schools, and be able to meet their needs. And so that those who are in the city, who are in need of food, can have them at affordable rates. No. While they are doing that in the hinterlands, you think that ends there? No. Even inside Yaoundé, the last time I showed roads here and people could come to say, oh, I saw somebody came and put a comment and said, oh, this is somewhere. He tried to show that it was in the outskirts of Yaoundé. This is another one. This is from the page of Nzuimanto. I don't want to let you suspect that I know it's my own picture I took. This from the page of Nzuimanto on Facebook. And this place, this specific place is a Mombo. It's a Mombo. That's Mombo Deuxième Carrefour. And if you know Yaoundé, from this point where you see this car stuck like this and everything in a Mombo, you are just about 3 or 4 minutes drive to the St. Joseph's English-speaking parish, the Catholic Church. And that is in itself just about 5 minutes drive from Post Central, from the heart of the city. So this is to tell you, a Mombo is just a few minutes drive from the Yaoundé Saint maximum security prison. A few minutes drive. This is a mumbo. This is still a mumbo here, as you see. That is still a mumbo. As you can see, inside the heart of Yaoundé, I am really, sometimes, I look at this, I want to laugh, but I feel pity. So much pity because when you don't understand exactly the extent of the entanglement in which you find yourself, you take a lot of things for granted. You take a lot of things for granted. Some people in this liberation movement are joking. Some Southern Cameroonians are taking this particular movement for freedom for granted. You don't understand what is at stake. There is just so much at stake than you can imagine. We are not only reasserting the independence of our land, we are not just kicking La République du Cameroun out of our territory. We are not just trying to restore the soul of our nation. We are absolutely trying to disentangle ourselves from evil enyoking as well. This is what this whole thing is all about. Because with what is happening in La République du Cameroun, and with some of our people already so entrenched in that system, if we don't fight and fight until we cut the umbilical cord linking us with La République du Cameroun, we run the risk of remaining unevenly yoked when we stay in a place. And with the people who believe in some kind of thoughts that are anathema to development so much, you end up looking like them. This is... I'm getting there to A2D. I pause because I want to see. This is at A2D. If you know the place called Carrefour A2D in Yaoundé, Carrefour A2D is about a few yards away from one of the entrances into the presidency of the Republic of La République du Cameroun. A few minutes away from their Unity Palace, Carrefour A2D. I'm not saying a few minutes, a few yards away, Carrefour A2D. When you stand at Carrefour A2D, you see the presidential palace right before you. This is it.
Mon ami, ce n'est pas de sa faute. Ce n'est pas de sa faute.
So you see what is going on in this video. This bike rider carried his passenger, and as he was moving through that pool of water, unfortunately, the passenger fell off the bike and into the mud. And you can see the sinner so gets up and he's trying to fight with the bike. There's a bike man reminding him, I'm not the mayor, I'm not the authorities, I'm not. And you hear the onlooker say, no, the bike rider is not to blame. He is not the cause of the road. But that is inside Yaoundé. I talked sometimes when I was at Eric, and just before I found myself being chased through the forest like a wild animal. I was actually about to start a doctoral project, and the subject matter of my research was on poverty as a public policy in Cameroon. When I talked about it to the professor who was to be my supervisor, he was like, are you sure? And when we sat down and I elucidated, he was like, oh my goodness, I really couldn't think about this. But what, from the presentation I'm making, everything is clear. I said, that is what it is. He said, but the problem is this particular work, either it will not be defended, or if you complete and will defend it, you and I will be going to jail as soon as we finish it. Unfortunately, I never even got to start, because the starting point was supposed to be somewhere in April of 2017, but in January, I was already in the forest running for dear life. So therefore, when you see this, and then I take you to Womb, look at this is a commercial motorbike rider fighting for survival on the Bamenda Womb stretch of the road. I'd like you to take note of this because I'm touching every angle. I was in the south, specifically in the Jan Lobo. I left the Jan Lobo. I got to the center in Yaoundé and right in front of Mr. Paul Biya's palace. And now I'm on the road to Womb. I want to leave from there. Let's go over to Momo. I was looking at the newspaper headlines this week and I saw there somewhere a pompous headline praising one Heli Obango and saying why Mr. Heli Obango, who is mayor of Ngi, is bound to succeed despite the traction and despite the challenges. And I said, oh wow, that's awesome. Let's take a look at the route to Ngi and Oshe from Acha.
I see road here. I don't see him. If any person will come on, they are gonna respect it. Be strong people, them. Very strong. Now scan water hill this. Now just the beginning of the hill. Very stiff. Climb. Wow. See road.
I have my friend, Ojamben Stephen. He's one of those who were picked up by the voices in the bushes during the 20th May when he went to celebrate Biya. He comes from Ngi. This is the road leading to Ngi. I watched him once at Ayaba Hotel saying how Paul Biya is the best thing that ever happened to our people. This is the road leading to Ngi. He can't go there without moving on a bike, and at so many stops, they will get down from the bike and trek. Too many of them like that. We're loitering in the system and telling the people Paul Biya is the best ever. This is the road leading to Ngi and Oshe. This is the road. Ngi, Oshe, Konda, all inside there. Ngo, everybody inside there. This is the road leading there. If you're doubting retired Colonel Hans Anager, who is the founder of Ngo, this is the road leading to his village. This is it. This is what we got from our union with La République du Cameroon after 65 years. But again, like I said, this is just the manifestation of a bigger problem, of a bigger issue. I'm letting us follow the length and breadth so you see that it is not just one little patch of the road that, video has been taken just, it is the entire. I know if you hail from Momo, you hail particularly from Mbengui, local government area, Ngi, local government area, or Njikwa, local government area, you will understand what I'm talking about. You will recognize this. I have used these roads. Even before they got right to this state, I have used them. But you see, the excuse they want to give you is that, oh, we are at war. It's because we are at war. That's why the roads are deteriorating like that. It's because of the war. It's because of the struggle. The Amber Boys are obstructing the maintenance of roads and all of those things. I showed you these roads in Yaoundé, in front of Mr. Paul Biya's presidential palace. This is at Etudi. I'll show you this road at Etudi, Carrefour Etudi in Yaoundé. So, I'm taking the pains to do all this so that nobody gets misled. The things that happen in La République du Cameroon do not happen by chance. They happen for a purpose. Because you think the people are not stupid. The people are not dull. A good lot of them are professors, university lecturers, a good lot of them hold university degrees, masters, bachelors, and everything. They hear the people talk. They see these things. Have you ever wondered why they don't budge? Have you ever wondered why it means nothing to them? Have you ever wondered why, in spite of that, they keep telling you Paul Biya is the best, even take Vomeka is the promised land? Have you ever wondered why? The reason is simple. Because they know they have taken the people right to the place where the people cannot even raise their voices to ask for accountability. They've taken the people right to the place where the people are going to dance and celebrate if you just give them a glass of water like this, my own. That is what it is. Because you are dealing with an occultic system, they need to subdue you, dehumanize you to a point where you can't bear it, and you submit to everything they demand of you. Everything they want you to do, that's exactly what you will do. That's what this is all about. And why the penchant of roads? They often report themselves. I recall when I was at CATV, it was like a cliche, like a sing song. When they do a little road, so they say, "La où la route passe, le développement suit." They know if the roads are good, number one, the lands are too fertile. The people are going to be able to fend for themselves and will care less about the government. You will not take note of them when they pass. You will not run to them for a piece of bread and sardine when they come. You will not run to them to go on your stomach and on your knees and be ready to stand under the sun and the rain for the entire day to earn 500 francs or 1,000 CFA francs and get the guarantee of a bottle of beer or two. You will not. Because if they make good passable roads, you will fend for yourselves. They know. Let the crops get rotten in the forests. Let the people find it impossible to go treat themselves in the cities. Let the people find it impossible to carry their goods from one place to the other or to communicate among themselves easily. That keeps them under control, under permanent control. That is why every day you hear news come out of Cameroon is prices of things are going up. Never that they have reduced the price of this or reduced the price of that. No. Look at today, as I was preparing for this podcast, they just sent it to me. MTN mobile money, new rates operational today. When they say new rates, you think that they're no. The rates are only going up. Going up. Going up. Listen, folks. This is mobile money. And why do they attack every single area where the young people have taken refuge in? Degree holders, even those who happen to have jobs in the public service that they are not earning anything serious, have resorted to operating mobile call boxes where they were transacting or where they are transacting mobile money. And so the government, therefore, seeing that these ones are somehow getting ends to meet and they are likely to be self-reliant, they need to tax everything until they kill that activity. They must send them out of business. Today, a lot of those who are doing call boxes, who are doing these mobile money transactions, are abandoning. Because you take 5 million CFA, you load it in your account, and you are transacting as people come to cash money, you get little earnings from there. Right now, you put 5 million, you are not able to make profit of 5,000. 5,000 CFA. A lot of them are abandoning. And why? Because they discover that at the end of the day, they are working only for MTN and the government. Because MTN and Orange keep raising this this cost, keep raising the charges, because the government keeps increasing the taxes. Simple. In no serious country in the world do policies target small businesses. On the contrary, in serious countries, there are full-blown administrations charged with ensuring the survival and smooth operations and even blossoming of small businesses. That's why in the United States, you have what is called the SBA, the Small Business Administration. In every serious country in the world, you have such administrations because they care about the well-being of the people, especially those down there who are managing to employ 5, 10, 20, sometimes even just 3 people. Because whatever the case, you are getting those people out of poverty. You are getting those people out of unemployment while employing yourself. Cameroon, no. When people start making a lot of money from those things, the government makes sure they are shut down. Gradually. There is no day. And that's why you see even now, they notice that with those roads and all, not even the way they are, people are still managing and doing things. Owners of urban and interurban transportation companies are still making some money. Taxi drivers, bike riders. So that is why today, like I announced in my last outing, and I'll show you again here, because at least I think I still have that somewhere, they are introducing toll gates for bikes, for motorbike riders that until today have not been paying. They are increasing the cost of toll gates. For cars that are paying just 500, that will suddenly start paying 1,200. Cars that are paying 500 will suddenly start paying 2,200. Cars that were paying 1,000 will suddenly start paying 2,800. Cars that are paying 1,000 will suddenly start paying 5,600. While they are doing this, the police and the gendarmes are also on the roads. Because you see that bike rider who carried his passenger in front of a 2D and fell in the mud like that, that's not the problem of the policeman. Just standing nearby waiting for the bike rider to come down and stand and give him whether it is 500 or it's 200. He doesn't give a damn. Like I say, the system is not unaware that the police and gendarmes are on the road extorting and making life difficult for the people. They are aware. Like I said, it is deliberate. It is policy. And it is implemented. That is, poverty is a public policy meant to achieve one aim, as you'll find out as we progress. Because look at that. When they make things so complicated to the point where you really can't do anything, this is how it ends. You see? With all excitement, this is what you get. And this poor young girl must have stood under the sun for the whole day in order to earn this loaf of bread and sardine chargé that she's eating. When they impoverish you, dehumanize you completely, they put you at their mercy. This is another one. You find this one, as he's standing like that, he may even be a security guard. That is his own peace. And it's on which day? Celebrating 41 years of poor Biya. That is it. He will spend the whole day. You see, he has kept it already behind him very jealously. His loaf of bread and sardine. That's what they are defined by. No matter how much you scream and shout about this, they will go for it because they have no option, they have no choice, they have been reduced to sleeper level. That is where they are. And in Bamenda, as Meme Mefo reported, young people were fighting, shouting, angry all over the place because, listen, in Bamenda of all, these young people know that going out there could also be like a death penalty. Because they will be shown on television cameras. Because they could be victimized. Because anything can happen to them. Yet, because of the rampant poverty, because of the level of misery that they find themselves in. They are ready to die for 5,000. This is what they promised them. 5,000. At the end of the day, they were disappointed, frustrated, and angry because instead of the 5,000, they started giving them 3,000. Because don't even joke with those people. They never keep even to any form of promise. And there is nothing you can do to them. And so these are people who risked their lives, I'm saying risked lives, and spent hours on hours, hours upon hours, in exchange for 5,000 CFA. And at the end of the day, they won't even give them that. You recall what I often say on this platform? Anytime you settle for less than you deserve, you always end up with less than you settled for. And it even got more ridiculous.
Ouais, c'est ça. Quelle honte. La honte. La honte. La honte. La honte.
As you can see, these are old people. I mean old people fighting over food. You can see them falling on each other, stampeding each other over food. All of them wearing Mr. Paul Biya's effigy. Fighting over food. Look at them. Old people. Old people.
La honte. La honte. La honte. On va vous filmer. La honte.
So, all this is made to make you see the difference between yourself and them. Now, that privileged 1%, it's not like they make it impossible for you to enter. There's entry into those clubs. To get there, there is a price to pay. When they have broken you right to this point, we've often watched Nigerian movies, final boy come and say, no, I've suffered too much, I'm ready to make money. They say there will be consequences. They say the consequences will take care of themselves. Let the consequences take care of themselves. Thus, you now understand that in that country, you cannot become anything if you don't belong to one of the demonic castes in that country. You can't. You can't. Because it will be the big question to ask, so are you saying all of those who are up there, oh, every one of them that's watching me, they will be examining their consciences. Some will just be turning away as they hear me say it. Some will be looking to the ground. And some, oh yes, you can't. You see handsome man, strong like that, solid and everything, and sits in an office and is puffing like this. Look at him, he say, please, can you give me help? And he say, no. You see, they can't help you because they know what they have gone through. They have been defiled over and over by a satanic system. Because you either bow to the dictates of the satanic regime or the alternative, you can see for yourself, is poverty, is misery, is dehumanization. Oh yes. My people of Amazonia, this is not who we are. This is not who we were. Our forebears led a wonderful experience where there was public accountability, where you were picked to get to a position not because of whose son or daughter you were, not because of which part of the country, of the southern Cameroons you came from, but because of what you were able to bring on board, but because of what you could contribute in taking the society ahead. But here, La République du Cameroon, no. Which sect do you belong to? Are you a Freemason? Are you of the Rosicrucian movement? Are you, in fact, are you of the Illuminati? If you don't belong to any of these ones, you climb, you erroneously get to a certain point and they tell you, you've already gone too far. How did you even get here? Because they start asking, whose son is he? How did he get here? How did he find himself? How did she find herself in this fears? Whose daughter? How? Who is even his godfather or godmother? Who is sponsoring him? How? Those questions begin to be asked. Folks, ask yourself the question. Is that the kind of Amazonia or the kind of Southern Cameroons want to bequeath to our children? No, this is not what we want to leave as legacy. That is why we have to fight this fight to the logical end. When they subdue you right down to this level, all what is left for you to do is bow to their dictates, is find yourself, allow yourself to be defiled, is to find our daughters letting themselves finally to be made to be sleeping with animals, with objects in offices. Funny kind of things introduced in their systems in exchange for just some little bread, in exchange for sinecure positions. You may not have an idea what it is once you get inside there. But trust me, there's one man who is gone now. He's just gone. Professor Ube Mononjana. He lived through it. He got lured into it. He got to a point where he told himself, this is going to be so difficult for me to, swallow. And despite being of the ruling clan of the Esingan, he could not break through. He couldn't hold back. He decided to spill the bean even before he died. Listen to him.
Bon, est-ce que vous n'avez pas l'impression qu'il y a une sorte de de malchance qui vous suit depuis quelques années, professeur? C'est-à-dire que vous avez d'abord été mis à l'écart des instances dirigeantes du RDPC alors que vous occupiez une fonction hautement stratégique. Il y a eu des difficultés, par exemple, à gérer le droit d'auteur, la socialadra. Maintenant, vous suffit cette mise à la retraite là. Est-ce qu'avec le recul, quand vous faites le bilan, vous vous dites pas, mais il y a quelque chose, que j'ai un petit problème quelque part?
J'ai pas de problème, je sais ce qui se passe.
Il se passe quoi, professeur? Dites-nous, parce que là, on est au stade de
non, je suis face à des réseaux, vous comprenez, qui n'aiment pas le fait que j'ai refusé le réseau. Voilà.
Quel réseau?
Did you hear that? I know, I'll be stopping and breaking in because I know there are quite some of our people who don't understand French. Professor Ube Mononjana here, philosopher. Professor, not an associate, full-blown professor. He says he's found it so difficult to break through in that system, despite, moving from one sector to the other and all of those things, because he refused to join the networks. He called it le réseau. I call it the networks, but actually what it is, to join the sects, to join the castes. That's why he's calling figuratively le réseau. They refuse to join the sects, those demonic sects. Because if you don't belong, you rise to a certain point and they discover that you were inside there and you got in when you didn't belong, you begin a downward spiral. Let's hear him again.
Ah, vous savez.
Non, parce que, attendez, là on est au stade de confidence.
On ne peut pas faire des confidences à la télé. C'est pas vraiment le meilleur endroit pour faire des confidences.
En fait, il y a des réseaux dans lesquels on vous a demandé d'entrer.
Oui.
Vous avez refusé de faire partie des réseaux.
Depuis le comité central, j'ai refusé.
Alors on vous a dit on va vous briser.
Oui.
Donc tous ceux qui sont au comité central.
Did you hear that? He says right from the central committee of the CPDM. They forced him. They tried to lure him. They tried to break him in all kinds of ways. They tried to make life difficult for him so that he should accept to get in. He didn't. So he says they started luring and literally forcing him right from the central committee of the CPDM, the ruling CPDM party. Mr. Paul Biya's party. Let's listen.
Quels sont dans les réseaux?
Je ne sais pas, mais moi, on m'avait demandé de faire l'initiation.
Quelle initiation?
Ah, moi, je ne sais pas.
Comment vous savez pas?
So you get that. Although he's talking in tongues, he's talking. Although he really wants to talk, but he retains himself at some points because it's really not easy. But he makes clear they wanted him to get initiated into those sects. You hear him reveal further. They needed him to be initiated before he could get to anywhere. So that you should understand, therefore, that letting our children grow within a system, letting our children find a to exist with a system like that of La République du Cameroon, is letting our children grow with the power of limitation over their heads. That is why knowledge about this is very important. That immediately you are born in this system, you grow the power of limitation upon your head. And that limitation will only be lifted if you accept demonic initiations. Ne dure pas au pouvoir qui veut, mais Dieu qui peut. Listen.
Puisque vous vous avez demandé.
Mais en tout cas, j'ai refusé le mot.
C'était quelque chose de magique, d'ésotérique, de...
Bon, en tout cas, la personne qui m'a consulté ce jour-là m'a dit, puisque vous refusez, vous ne serez rien dans ce pays.
Et vous n'avez été rien depuis. Mais qui vous avez d'abord?
Par rapport à ce qu'on...
Did you hear that? He says the person who told him that he needed to get initiated, that he needed to go through the initiations, told him as well that if you refuse this initiation as you are doing, you will never be anything in this country. Did you hear that? I'm not the one saying it. It's Professor Ube Mononjana from the Leke division, the central region of the République du Cameroon. Of course, a member of the Isingan. He has been a member of the Central Committee. He has been in the communications of the CPDM party. It's one person that had been used before to spew hatred against us, the people of the Southern Cameroons, against the Bamileke people in La République du Cameroon. Mononjana. But despite doing all of that, he never got anywhere. They told him, yes, you have done well, but you need to be initiated. Because if you are not initiated into these cults, you will never be anything in this republic. Let's listen to him again.
On appelle quelque chose. Vous comprenez? Il y a l'être et le non-être. Il y a donc des êtres. Si vous me permettez cette métaphysique sociale, il y a des êtres et des non-êtres. Il y a des êtres dont le rôle est de prendre les non-êtres au niveau des êtres. Alors, si vous n'acceptez pas le mouvement, vous ne serez jamais un être. Vous restez un non-être. Alors,
so, you hear what he's saying? He's saying, like I said, he's speaking a bit figuratively. So he says there are beings and there are those that are non-beings. That's what we call les êtres et les non-êtres. Les êtres are beings. Those are the real people. Non-êtres are the nobodies. So there are beings and there are the nobodies. And so therefore, he says the role of the beings, that some among the beings whose role is to bring people from among the nobodies, get them initiated into the beings. Does that make some sense? Being as in B-E-I-N-G-S. So, within the Biya system, within the occultic system of La République du Cameroon, you are either a being or you are a nobody. So there are two castes. Beings who are initiated, who therefore will go from one big position to the other, or even 2, 3 at the same time, and enjoy all the goodies of the republic, and then the nobodies who are there to accompany them, to be smashed, who are there to cheer them, to clap for them, who are there to be used in whatever way, shape, or form they want. They can even be killed in good numbers just to make sure they sustain the beings as beings where they are. Does it begin to make some sense?
Moi, je suis un non-être par rapport aux êtres. Et les êtres me poursuivent.
Quand vous êtes devenu...
Les êtres me poursuivent toujours.
Mais quand vous êtes devenu secrétaire national de la communication, si je ne me trompe pas, du parti, dans les années 80-90,
oui.
Vous êtes devenu un être.
Oui, la personne m'a expliqué que là, on vous a pris par hasard. On ne vous prendra plus jamais par hasard dans ce pays.
Now, do you hear the question journalist asking? Now you say that you are a nobody. But in the 90s, he was the communications secretary of the CPDM party. I asked, but at that time, you were a being. And Ibe Monojana says, yes. At that time, I was among the beings. But the person who told me that I needed to be initiated made clear to me that it was by error that I found myself as communications secretary of the Central Committee of the CPDM without being a being. That was by error, and that error will never ever repeat itself. So if he doesn't accept the initiation, he will never ever find himself in those kind of spheres because he got there by error. Recall what I said here a while ago. That when you climb to the state, look at it and say, but wait a minute. Who is this? How did he get here? How did she get here? Whose son is he or is she? Whose daughter is he? Or whose daughter is she? Whose son is he? Who is the godfather? How did they get here? Is he initiated? Who initiated him? How did he get here? How did she get here in the first place? And then you find that suddenly you start receiving pressure. You start receiving pressure. You start receiving subtle pressure. They start throwing banana peelings on your way at the office. They start making life complicated for you. You start getting demotions. You start getting punitive transfers. You start being kicked up, being kicked down. Sometimes you even get salary suspensions and they say it's erroneous. You start facing all kinds of vicissitudes. And all of these are meant to pressure you to the point where you either submit or you break. Finally, when you submit and you get initiated, okay, you become a being. If you don't submit and get initiated, you remain a nobody. Like I said, the line is drawn. A nobody, you aspire for nothing. You get nowhere. Even if you try by yourself, there is a limit where you cannot cross. That's what I call the power of limitation.
La personne qui vous a aidé, l'être qui vous a aidé à devenir, de quitter le stade de non-être pour être être, c'était, je ne sais pas, le professeur, votre maître à penser, le professeur John Mollet?
Je ne pense pas.
C'est pas lui?
Mais je ne pense pas.
Parce qu'il était secrétaire général du parti.
Nous avons été nommés dans le même axe. L'acte qu'il a nommé et l'acte qu'il m'a nommé. Le président Biya a signé ça au même moment.
So you actually understand the journalist, just like me, is curious to know who is it that did that. Why he didn't say it here, he said it in other spheres. Exactly who that was. Because he said it was Grégoire Owona, who is minister of, I don't know whether it's labor or whatsoever, and the eternal Deputy Secretary General of the Central Committee of the CPDM. That is the man who was sent several times to Mr. Frundi. Several times. That is the man whose wife we saw dancing with Mr. Frundi and who were all mad and angry and all of those things. That is the marksman of the beings. Les êtres, who has to remind the non-êtres, the nobodies, who happen to find themselves by default among the beings, that this is what you need to do. If you don't get initiated, you end here. You are not only end here, you are going backward.
Ok, vous êtes
donc l'un n'a pas précédé l'autre.
Vous êtes devenu des êtres. Sauf qu'arriver au niveau stade des êtres, il fallait absolument faire des choses pour rester être.
C'est-à-dire j'étais en phase d'ontologisation.
C'est-à-dire
de devenir être dans l'ontologie sociale.
Oui.
Alors,
oui, un processus. Sauf que vous avez à un moment donné décidé de ne plus faire.
Oui, je n'ai pas accepté le mot initiation qu'on m'a proposé.
On vous a mis hors du jeu.
On m'a mis hors du jeu et puis je suis entré rapidement à l'université que je n'avais pas quitté heureusement. Parce que là, ça allait être compliqué. Et j'ai tout fait.
So you see, a whole Ube Mononjana from the center region, not just from the center region, from Leki. Because here they always say that when Biya wanted to launch his campaign, everything goes to Monatele. Monatele is in Leki. Those are the people who share boundaries with the people of Dembam, where you heard at some point that, I'm quoting Jipon Remingono, who said that Frank Biya was taken by some old man in Monatele and he was caused to move on water in initiation. Initiation. You saw at the start there, it was occultism. Right here where we are, was he talking occultism? Don't forget that the Patrick, when he was getting so hottish in his head and everything, he thought he was getting to places. The Patrick of blessed memory, he found himself in the south, where he was initiated in the same at the same place where Paul Biya was initiated by the same people who initiated Paul Biya as a Nongi. Did it last? I don't know. Did it help him? I can't tell. But that is what it is. And so Ube Mononjana is explaining here that when he refused to be initiated, he was kicked out. He began the downward spiral and he was forced to go back to the university where he initially was before leaving to go join the upper spheres and then to go back to the classroom as a lecturer. And even then, Mononjana never ever became even dean. I mean, a full-blown professor from the center, from the ruling clan. He never ever became even dean, not even vice dean, not even head of anything, not even rector. No. Listen.
J'ai pris les bouchées doubles pour rattraper mon retard jusqu'à devenir le tout premier professeur titulaire des universités au Cameroun en philosophie. Ça, c'est un record que j'ai battu.
Bon, est-ce que vous n'avez pas l'impression qu'il y a une sorte de scoumoun, veut dire en fait, de malchance qui vous suit depuis quelques années, professeur? C'est-à-dire que vous avez d'abord été mis à l'écart des instances dirigeantes du RDPC alors que vous occupiez une fonction hautement stratégique. Il y a eu des difficultés, par exemple, à gérer le droit d'auteur, la sociéladra. Maintenant, on vous signifie cette mise à la retraite là. Est-ce qu'avec le recul, quand vous faites le bilan, vous vous dites pas, mais il y a quelque chose que j'ai un petit problème quelque part?
J'ai pas de problème, je sais ce qui se passe.
Il se passe quoi, professeur? Dites-nous, parce que là, on est au stade de
je suis face à des réseaux, vous comprenez, qui n'aiment pas le fait que j'ai refusé le réseau. Voilà.
Quel réseau?
Ah, vous savez.
Non, parce que, attendez, là, on est au stade de confidence.
On ne peut pas faire des confidences à la télé. C'est pas vraiment le meilleur endroit pour faire des confidences.
En fait, il y a des réseaux dans lesquels on vous a demandé.
So, folks, I will just really let him go. But what I was trying to establish, and what I've been trying to establish all this while, is that we find ourselves unevenly yoked with a system which is run directly from hell. This is what it is. And if we don't disentangle ourselves from this system, we will never head anywhere. Poverty is the instrument being used by the system to subdue people and make them to submit to the esoteric realms. That is what it is. That's why poverty is a public policy in La République du Cameroun. Don't think that when people scream, oh, these roads, we are showing them every day. They are showing them every day on social media, on national television, on whatever. Nobody is coughing. They don't give a damn. Why? Because they know where they hold the people. Because they know that from the spiritual realms, they are controlling the minds and the thoughts and the movements and the actions of the people. That's what it is. This is not, this is absolutely not the kind of place where we should find ourselves. Anyone vending any form of union with La République du Cameroon to you, it is easy for me to conclude that they are part of the beings, that they are the initiated. And so therefore their role is to make sure we stay there so we remain subdued to them. Otherwise, anyone with eyes, with ears, with a brain, and who is a Southern Cameroonian will understand the need to support the liberation movement with the last pint of their blood all the way to the end. While all of that shit is going on there, look at, this is Addis Ababa in Ethiopia. This is Addis Ababa in Ethiopia. I remember la period of Banga singing, oh, you don't dress with it, you don't do like a champion for Ethiopia. But that is it. That came from behind. Folks, we will be far, far, far advanced than this. I want to end this communication. But before I go, I have a gift. There's a gift I'm going to share. This gift will specifically be for those are people who call themselves elite, who are family members of the so-called CPDM elite, who are acquaintances of the so-called elite, and who are continuing to fight tooth and nail against our liberation movement in connivance with the misguided few. I'm just assuring you, you're on a sinking ship. Move on to safety. Join this liberation train. Don't forget about www.oneport.relief. But here's the gift. Ali Bongo was the president of Gabon. He was the almighty president of Gabon. His father had been in power for 41 years. Ali Bongo too was seeing himself being there for either 40, I think his father was president for 42 years. He was seeing himself being there for either the 42 or more years to beat his father's record. But he crashed. Look at Ali Bongo, that everywhere in the country there were the effigies of, if you didn't have the effigy of Ali Bongo hanging in your house or hanging in your office, then you were not a right Gabonese. The same thing in La République du Cameroon. You see, they take pictures of any state official or anybody who is even just chief of service. You must see the picture of Paul Biya behind. I recall one day I moved into a credit union office in Yaoundé to do a transaction, and I got into the manager's office and I saw the picture of Mr. Paul Biya behind him. I said, but what the heck was he doing? He said, oh, the people have come here and asked him why he doesn't have the picture of Paul Biya in his office. And so he had to get one and put it behind him there to show them that he belongs. But look at where Ali Bongo's pictures are. Ali Bongo is not dead. No, he's not yet dead. He's still there alive. But look at where Ali Bongo's pictures are now in Gabon. My people. Folks, take a look at where Ali Bongo's pictures are now. That's the trash can. The place where the public vehicles will come and carry trash. Look at, it's not just one. It's not just two. Not just three, all over the place. Those are the pictures of Ali Bongo in the trash. What makes you Atanga Ponji? What makes you John Gute? What makes you Kalitus Fulgentry? What makes you Ngala Gerard? Oh. What makes you Mbela Mokichas Ngaringa? What makes you think that your case will be different? We continue to hang on to a system that is crashing. Well, like I said. We are now all aware of the kind of system we are up against. We are now all aware of the stakes before us. If, God forbid, we ever lose in this liberation movement. This is the reason every day, every now and then, I keep screaming, please, please, let us forget about group affiliations. Let's forget about every other thing and commit to this movement. Yeah, commit to this movement. Your silence, when we know that you have the means to contribute to move this liberation movement forward, will be remembered. Yeah, your silence will be remembered. That's why I always share and agree with Martin Luther King Jr. that in the end, we will remember not the words of our enemies, but the silence of our friends. But the silence of our brothers and sisters who could join hands with us so that we make this journey seamless. But the silence of our so-called elite who prefer to fight us with their silence, those who at least are not at the forefront. The silence of all those who have decided to look the other way while our people suffer on ground one, while our prisoners of war go hungry, while our prisoners of war die because they don't have the means to treat themselves, while our prisoners of war get tortured because we even give ourselves the luxury to betray them, that they are communicating. My people of Amazonia, this is decision moment. Make up your mind to be on the right side of history. Make up your mind to be on the right side of history. I have spoken.